Okay, before you all is the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. As discussed previously in our work session earlier, we've kind of gone line by line, worked out most of our kinks and our details. I believe we have come up with what appears to be a balanced budget with conversation left open for adjustment as needed, moving forward a little further into the fiscal year of fiscal 2024. The numbers I currently have are a little are from the previous meeting. I don't have to finalize numbers to give the official numbers. But at this moment, I'll open it up for council to give any comments they may have regarding our budget and what was discussed earlier.
I thought we had a thorough meeting earlier, so I don't have any comments.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Shepherd.
I do not have any comments.
Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Councilwoman Howard, you?
I'm okay. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. And Ms. Wynn, any comments?
Not at this time.
Okay. Councilmember Inman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Did you have any comments at this time regarding the budget?
No, I don't have any comments at this time.
Okay. Mayor Reynolds?
No, I'm good. I'm all clear.
Okay. So at this time, we'll open it up for anyone in the audience. If we have anyone that would like to speak in opposition to the fiscal year budget, we allow 10 minutes. Hearing none, do we have anyone that wants to speak for the budget? Hearing none, we can proceed, Mayor Reynolds.
Okay. All right.
Did you want to speak?
So,
Hold
go
on,
ahead.
Mayor Reynolds. I apologize. One moment. Did you want to
mhm.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Trey. What is budget for yeah,
What is the budget for this year?
yeah. And can you copy?
Can you get a copy?
I am on board here, and I know that I'm off that. I need your copy of the
Yeah.
Give you a total. The total budget right now is $1,883,741.23.
If you want it.
Yeah, the print what you see on the.
Last day.
Mayor, did you do that?
I didn't hear it.
So we can go into the seat with closing the public hearing.
Okay, got you. All right. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, I need a motion to do so.
I motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. At this time, this is the time where council deliberates, so you all can make a final decision. So any council member pretty much can, speak at this time. Or make a motion to approve or deny the budget.
Make a motion to approve the budget
Is there a
2023,
second? Oh, sorry.
24.
Second.
Is there- Thank you. Any further discussion about the budget? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes I have have it. it. Thank you
to
so
say,
much.
I know I'm on the phone, but I just wanted to say, I'm gonna abstain for this round until we have a special call meeting.
Okay,
So just wanted to put it on record for you guys.
okay. All right, Ms. Ashley, you have that for the record?
I do.
All right. All right. At this time, normally we open up for work session. So it's a little confusing for me. It's a little different today, council. So do you all want to move forward and open up for work session, or just keep going?
You're already in your work session, Mayor, unless you can proceed to action.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. We have action items. Looks like we have two today. The first one is Parkway and Main Street repair. Chief DeJohnette has that information and he can come forward at this time.
Yes, I have Public Works Manager, Mr. Munson, with me as well to kind of go over the situation. I know we presented this before council, the sewer drainage damage at Parkway and Main. Ms. Inman made a recommendation, I believe, to possibly look at redoing that intersection if we're going to even invest money into fixing it. So we got a few quotes to redo the intersection. I don't know if you have them. Everybody should have them.
And what they gonna do is cut it so you'll be able to just turn right out into the road. Instead of just making it straight, go straight, but they gonna cut it and make a turn light right there so you can just turn on out instead of pulling out in the middle of the road to turn.
I'm sorry to interject, you guys. I just had a question for Mr. Munson.
Yeah.
I saw the documents, and you guys recommended DAF. You know, I'm not too savvy on the wording. So do they happen to have like, I mean, even if we approve it today, that's cool, but I'm a visual person. So like a draw up, a sketch up of what that would look like, just so I'm, you know, it's a little bit clearer to understand where the light would be positioned, because I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably looked at it, but my concern is like the granite building, the academy building, how far it sticks out. And someone said something. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
It's not gonna be no turning lane or nothing. It's just gonna be where you won't have to pull all the way out in the middle of the road to turn.
Yeah, so it's
You'll
not,
be able to just go up and turn. It's gonna be a little turn. It's just gonna be regular stop, but instead of going all the way out to the middle of the road to turn, you'll just be able to just turn normal.
So it's not gonna be so curvy.
Yes, it's gonna be like a
More
curve.
straightaway.
It's gonna be like a curve right there.
Okay,
See, right now it's more of a straightaway,
right.
but they're gonna put like a curve in there. So when you come up to the stop sign, you just go ahead and turn on out. You won't have to wait till the road is clear. But the traffic,
Beautiful.
So is that gonna be a yield or a stop?
it's gonna be a regular stop.
What they said about the,
They're gonna move
Fire.
fire hydrant and all, they're gonna be moved back some, so they gonna cut it right there, so when you pull up to the stop sign and you wanna go on out, you can just go ahead and turn on in that lane and keep going.
So they're gonna have to move the sewer?
a little bit.
A little bit, and then they're gonna move the fire hydrant back some, they're gonna move the handicap ramp back some, and then that way, they're gonna go ahead and put the turn right there, where you just turn on out and keep going.
So where would they
Get
put
some
the
pictures.
sewer at?
The sewer gonna be still there, they're gonna move it back,
Okay,
they're gonna move everything back, so you can turn on out and back.
okay.
Yeah, I would, why is there such a difference in the pricing, especially the AMS?
Different companies have different.
So did they propose doing the same amount of work,
All,
everything?
So DAF, just to give you some information,
what is
we
it?
contacted Harry at Lowe's Engineering to have him actually come out and look at it as well, being that it is a little bit bigger project. DAF actually met Harry out there and they went over everything to make sure that they were gonna do exactly what needed to be done, not only to fix the manhole cover, but actually to make it more of a T intersection, if that makes sense. Right now, it's kind of a slanted T intersection. So DAF is kind of who was the first one that came out and worked with Lowe's. Yeah, and we can get Harry to make
I
a drawing.
get the drawing for it, if that'll help y'all out.
Do we have to buy any right away from the property owners on the corner?
No,
Okay.
that's all city right away, everything you can see.
Get a try.
Wow, that's,
I can get some
That's a
drawing,
big
they,
old difference.
yeah.
That's a big old difference in
I
the
know.
quote.
But if the people are just gonna go and turn, why not use a yield sign?
cause
Because it's gonna be a T intersection.
Oh.
It's one roadway coming directly into another.
Then, okay. I
Yeah,
got
it's
it.
not gonna be like where it kind of goes into the
Gotta
road.
come out.
Right.
Yeah, it's not gonna come around. It's just gonna come straight
I
up.
Look
got
at the right could be a year, but the left would definitely be a stop, and I know you can't do both of them, so
It's
it's
just
just
gonna be
stop.
stop, yes.
What's my quick, okay, so if you look at these, A&S paving.
Mhm.
Reconstruct brick box. Are they
They're
talking
talking
about the sidewalk?
The box inside of the drainage.
Brick, it's called a brick box?
Yeah, it's a box inside of the drainage.
Oh, okay.
Where the water collects.
Okay. I'm just trying to see like, where's the big difference in the,
Actually, that relocate the fire hydrant. One is 4,000, one is
15,000.
6,000, the other one is 15. 16, 8 and 12. 16,000.
yeah, I'm not gonna pay $15,000 to relocate a fire hydrant. Want somebody else to do it for $4,000. So that's a no for me right there.
Traffic control.
And once again, this will come out of the SPOS transportation.
Splot.
Have we, I missed that, did you say, have we worked with either one of these companies in the past? No, they're
No.
both kind of new to us.
Never worked. Do we have any references from Hawk Construction Company?
Yeah, but if y'all want reference, I can get them from each company if you want.
No, we definitely don't want none from it.
A&S.
And that's a paving company right up here. Ain't like that.
I mean, we can't afford it.
Right.
You would think they would want to work with us a little better right in the city. You
You
said
would
Hawk
think.
Construction comes recommended by,
DAF.
DAF. I met with them over there.
DAF
with
comes
Harry,
recommended,
yes.
okay.
And they drawed out how they showed me how they was gonna do it. So
You mean shows you?
they
It came out.
They
this-
drawed it, they put down like the little paint, how they were gonna cut the curb back and everything, move the fire hydrant back, and move the handicap ramp back, and make it like a turn like that. Cause if you go over there now, you're gonna be going straight, like
Right,
going
that's
for a
true.
Family Dollar.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you get ready to turn, you gotta pull out like going for a Family Dollar.
Put out and then make it right.
Right.
Yeah, but then that's still also a drainage, so that's still gonna be
The
left
drainage gonna-
open.
The drainage gonna be still there, they just gonna move it back, cover it up, move the drainage back some.
Like how far back? Did it say?
About 10 feet.
I think that drawing. 'cause that-
Well,
About 10.
yeah, because see, the drainage actually is there to collect water that's coming down, right? So that's to collect water underneath
Yes.
here that's coming down. So once you curve this over, is the water still?
Yeah, it gonna stay right here. This the part they gonna curve over.
Right,
But the water still gonna go to the drain and everything. Fire hydrant gonna be moved back.
that's not gonna be there. It's gonna be concrete. I mean, it's gonna be
No, it's still-
slab.
It's gonna be, your curving gonna be right there.
It's gonna start right there and it's gonna go this
It's
way.
gonna go like a little U.
Okay, gotcha.
It's gonna go like a little U right there.
But it's still open to collect water.
Yeah, it's gonna be, they gonna move the drainage and everything back, and it's still gonna be able to collect water.
Not gonna go across the street. It's the way it is right now.
I have to listen to you. I have to listen to you.
Now,
So you still need a picture of how it's gonna be when it.
That's what Councilwoman in the morning. I don't know.
Um,
Councilwoman, you still like the drawings?
of the completed,
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Would you still like the drawings?
for the complete work.
See what it look like?
I mean, I personally would like that because I'm a visual. I hear what everyone's saying, but if we're able to get it, great. Because
Yeah,
you know
so
how
I get it.
sometimes
I
you can
get
approve
it.
something, still doesn't,
I have it for the
reflect
next
what you
meeting.
thought.
So you're gonna get it from,
I'm gonna get it from the,
Hawk and DF?
yes, I'm gonna get the drawing from all of them by the next.
Okay.
Okay.
Because there is
Yeah,
a
you can
price
get it from
difference.
them, too.
And like I said, I'm not understanding the language of how they wrote what they meant. So yeah,
I have it for you.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. All this time.
All right, so is there a decision at this time or we tabling this?
Table it.
Tabling it.
Okay, all right, let's proceed to the tree trimming.
Okay,
So on the tree trimming, I don't know, about, 2, council meetings ago, we had concerns from citizens in reference to the trees hanging over on Rock Chapel right there before you get to, Center Street. So what we did is, we kind of just went around the city to see where any trees that we kind of had that was real bad, hanging over or blocking, obstructing any views. So we had multiple companies come out and give quotes on doing the tree trimming, and on each quote, you see there's a breakdown of each street. Not everything has to be done at once. I mean, Rock Chapel would be probably a big concern because we've had issues on the weekend when it stormed, the trees falling
falling in the road and stuff like that.
And then I do know,
Max Cleveland they need too, because you can't see the street lights. When you're going out for 124, the trees and stuff is covering up the lights on the left-hand side. So, you know.
And of course, the trim.
I see your house.
It would be dead trees.
Then I had a couple of dead trees on Church Street and a big oak tree by the amphitheater. It always dropped limbs over there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know that tree, you know where the church is?
okay, man,
Uh-huh.
it's on there. I got them.
I'm so glad, because it is.
It's on there.
It's
When you
right.
turn that curve right there, it's hanging over.
Right, thank you.
And this comes out to what? Yeah.
So have we used any of these companies before?
Yes, ma'am.
Which
We
one?
have used Branching Out and Dunn Street Service. We have used both of them on several occasions. So
That first number, was that a 2? It looked like it was a
it's
3.
a 2.
20,650,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's for all the work,
All the work.
and that's less than half of what Don is. KR2 Legacy Group,
Mm-hmm.
that's a company, I assume.
Yes, ma'am. All these companies, yes, ma'am.
Since they just cutting trees, and that's how much they're gonna charge. They license, I mean,
Yes, ma'am. They like all of them licensed.
license, and they're gonna
They're
grill
gonna
up the
cut them, trim
stone.
them, and grind them up and haul them away.
That $20,000 quote is like I agree with Councilwoman Howard, trees.
I know, right?
Yeah,
They gotta paint nothing.
they ain't got to mess up no paint and paving and all of that.
I mean, sure, get they hit somebody's house.
Yeah, they
And all of them insurance.
Can we make a decision on that? We can make a decision, but I'm gonna make a motion.
Just you
I make
familiar
a-
with all of them? You familiar with all of them?
I met with all of them, showed them everything what they need to do
Okay.
on trimming the trees back off the road and everything.
I'd like to make a motion, to approve KR2 Legacy Group, for cutting all 9 areas for $20,650.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
We do need, number 8, we do need to change the spelling. That's Conyers, CONY.
Oh, okay, I might have wrote it down.
He was in a rush, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I agree. They did that. They put it.
But they know which.
Yeah, they know
that
the
they
street. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, any opposed? All right, ayes have it. All right, we're gonna proceed to, the last, action item I see is for Wigan Street parking lot drainage and improvement project with Lowe's Engineering.
Yeah, if we can table that till next meeting, I just met with Harry actually 30 minutes before this. He needs to make a change to the wording that's in there. So, if we can, and I told him it's July 3rd. Actually, we were
Yeah,
meeting with him at 4
we
o'clock.
today.
He came late.
Did this increase the price of the project? We're talking
So
about buying it
it's not increasing the price of the project. It's just so before when they came and presented, they talked about taking the pipe and running it out to Main Street and down Main Street and around, which made the project extremely expensive. Well, they were able to kind of come up with a new process, which is just tapping into the existing pipe that's under there because the pipe is still good, which cuts the project in half. So some of the wording on there, he was just here and we just went over it. He's going to change and we're going to resubmit it. He's actually going to be here on July 3rd to do that himself.
To present this,
Correct.
okay. All righty.
So I think you'll be pleased with the ideas they have.
All right. Tell Mayor she can move on.
All right, can we proceed now?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
All right, we have 2 items for discussion. The first one will be the House Bill 1405 and as well as 916. Mr. Bill Johnston, is he available to come forward?
Sorry, I didn't catch.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Is this microphone on?
Yeah.
So House Bill 1405 was passed, signed into law by the state legislature last year. It has implications for the zoning process in the city of Lithonia. House Bill 1405 seeks to establish and clarify the means of judicial review of the exercise of local government's zoning power based on whether the power exercised was legislative, which is city council, or quasi-judicial. That would be a board of appeals or administrative officer like the zoning administrator. Under House Bill 1405, quasi-judicial officers, boards, or agencies decide variances, special administrative permits, special exceptions, conditional use permits, and other zoning decisions. The bill further amends the code by providing new hearing requirements for certain city boards and commissions and new procedural requirements for zoning decisions involving multifamily residential districts. The zoning procedures law now defines zoning decision as a final legislative action by a local government involving adoption of a zoning ordinance, adoption of a text amendment to a zoning ordinance, adoption of an amendment to a zoning ordinance which rezones property from one zoning classification to another, adoption of an amendment to a zoning ordinance which zones property to be annexed into a municipality, finally granting a permit relating to a special use of property. House Bill 1405 adds variances concurrent with special uses of property and rezonings in the definition of a zoning decision. House Bill 1405 requires additional meetings, hearings, and public notices for any text amendment, allowing the following. 1, multifamily uses in a single-family residential district, abolishing single-family residential classifications. 3, granting the ability to deviate from existing zoning requirements in single-family residential zoning districts. These procedures are not required if they're initiated by a property owner. And I can say what is related here is that nationwide, about 75% of the land in each individual jurisdiction is reserved for single-family detached residential. This would give the opportunity to introduce multifamily uses. But it comes with quite a burden as far as public notice, public hearings, and procedure. For example, zoning decisions are to be adopted at 2 regular meetings held a minimum of 21 days apart. The hearings are to be held 3 to 9 months prior to the date of final adoption. So it can't be heard less than 3 months or more than 9. At least one hearing must be held between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Finally, 2 readings of an ordinance are to precede adoption by local government. Quasi-judicial decisions require 30-day notice and written notice to property owners. An ad in the local newspaper is also required. These same notice requirements pertain to any text amendment allowing multifamily uses in a single-family residential district. Notice must also be posted on each affected property unless more than 500 parcels are involved. Then posting is only required every 500 feet. That would mean when you have an issue that's involving 450 properties, you have to post every one of them.
No. Where do we fall in that within?
But it would depend on the application.
Mhm.
Whether we have 500 parcels, I'm not sure.
Mm.
Probably do. I'm sure. That would mean the entire city. So
Mm.
that would,
Be known.
before you'd have to be or allowed to post only every 500 feet, which is a lot easier than posting 500 properties or 450 for that matter. The newspaper ad specifications remain the same as minimum 45 days, minimum 15 days, sorry, and not more than 45 days. Notice in the paper must be prominent, providing a full description of the purpose of the amendment. The newspaper ad must be a minimum of 9 column inches, not located in a classified section, and state that a copy of the proposed ordinance will be furnished to the public on request at no charge. The amendment must be incorporated into the city's zoning procedures and requirements designated hearing procedures and criteria for review. Printed copies of procedures must be available at quasi-judicial hearings. Before I start on House Bill 916, are there any questions on House Bill 1405?
Yeah. When does that go into effect?
July 1 this year.
Okay.
And the attorney's got some recommendations at the end. A lot of this information is based on the memo that went into the council from the city attorney's office, and he allowed me to use more or less his research, which had a lot of legalese. I've tried to. All right, so House Bill 916 is really about process more than anything else. It abolishes the mechanism petitioners have used to appeal quasi-judicial decisions. That will be, for example, the decision of the zoning administrator. The applicant is of the opinion that the zoning administrator incorrectly applied the ordinance. So there's an appeal process there. What we have in the past is petition to writ of certiorari. So now, under House Bill 916, all such appeals to Superior Court must be made via petition for review. Under the old approach, many appeals from lower courts were dismissed on complex procedural grounds and not by decision on the merits of the case. House Bill 916 seeks to provide a single, modern, and uniform procedure called the petition for review that requires judicial decisions from lower courts to be decided on the merits and avoid dismissal solely on procedural grounds. Unlike its predecessor, the petition for certiorari or petition for review is very forgiving. Any defects are curable, and the petition is amendable until a hearing is held or a pretrial order is entered. What they tried to achieve was to have appeals not be thrown out. It was based on not their merits, but on procedural grounds. Evidently, it was happening quite a lot. House Bill 916 sets specific requirements for performing service, pleadings, case management, preservation, and transmission to the reviewing court of record. And the last thing I have is recommendations by the city attorney. City attorney recommends that the city initiate steps to 1, implement the new zoning procedures requirements by July 1, 2023. 2, adopt the proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance provided in the related attorney work product memorandum. Number 3, incorporate any amendments in any zoning policies and procedures that are not now codified in the city's ordinances. The city attorney and I had a discussion about some of the procedures that are now in the zoning ordinance, one of which is the zoning administrator can approve conditional uses. But there's a conflict because it also says that the mayor and council would be approving conditional uses, which I favor because that's more, it's, I think it's more critical. But we at least have to resolve the conflict, and conditional uses are sort of like special use permits. And those go to mayor and council, special exceptions go to mayor and council, certainly zoning decisions go to mayor and council. So I think he's wanting to combine a few of the other provisions that he believes are necessary. The city attorney, that is. I know it's not the best topic. Like I said, a lot of legalese. And tried to distill it into something that's a little bit more understandable. But there's a national effort to create this missing middle housing. And it's all about affordability. You know, decades and decades ago, we had more diversity in the neighborhood in terms of housing type. Not everybody was in a single family detached dwelling on a cul-de-sac. So what this does, it allows the jurisdiction to look into on a particular case-by-case basis whether multifamily dwellings should be allowed in a single family zoning district. I mean, there are some jurisdictions, Oregon, Minnesota, they've just abolished their single family residential zoning district. And that's one of the options that's given in this House Bill 1405. It's a lot more rigorous in terms of public notice, public hearings, but if a private property owner comes before the council, they're not obligated to follow all of those strenuous procedures. But city council and the city of Lithonia would have to be guided by the ones that I read through. There's a public notice, public hearing. Any questions?
So more or less, somebody come into the neighborhood and want to do the multi-property, there is a way that they could get it put through without challenging the current zoning. Is that what you're saying?
There'd be an amendment to the ordinance for that particular property. There'll be an ordinance and rezone that property. We have actually an instance of it right now. Dean Court has a property that was a duplex originally and was bought by an investor who did not give a zoning certificate because duplex was not permitted in the R60 district. So he's apparently going to file for a rezone. Of course, that may be in advance of this adoption of the House Bill 1405. But that's one example. I want to drive through there tonight and see, because I've spoken to the applicant and he claims that there's apartment building, which I did see on Google Earth. I didn't see that many duplexes, and evidently some of those properties are public housing. I'm not quite sure.
They're duplex, more than likely they are. So you said if the property is already owned by the person that wants to put multiple housing, then they may not have to go through, or they still would have to go through everything that a person just purchased an investor or whatever would have to go through.
Yeah, they'd have the same process, but it wouldn't be as rigorous as the process that the city has to undertake with all those notices and specify the hours. And can't be less than 3 months, more than 9 months.
Because they already own the property, but they still have to make it known.
They'd have to apply for rezone.
Okay.
Yeah. But they wouldn't be guided by the rigorous steps the city would have to take. And that's to involve the public in that decision. It's a major decision. I'm interested to see how it unfolds for a lot of jurisdictions. Should be interesting.
But we still have the guidelines of distance and square footage and how far you have to be.
Yeah.
So they have to have sufficient amount of property for whatever project they're gonna put there.
Yeah, I looked at the neighborhood commercial conservation district rather, and it requires a minimum lot size of 10 acres. So this lot in particular is supposed to be less than an acre.
Okay, well,
So with July 1st, we have to have something in place.
I think that's the width. Because we got to advertise that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's 15 days. You know, available. That's when we get to notice publish in the newspaper.
So it's an attorney being noticed to like redo the whole bill for us in a way, that we could adopt it and look at it, or we have to wait for him to fill it down.
I think in his memo, I don't have that, but in his memo, they to consider the memorandum that was sent as a step toward having an ordinance. They would have to have an ordinance in place. So what I gather is that if we don't take any action, the state law trumps local law anyway. So that was sort of our out. Because there's a lot of jurisdictions that haven't even talked about this yet.
Yeah, that's good.
But the development standards, setback and minimum floor area and that kind of thing, that won't be affected by this amendment.
Yes, that's it.
I think that's everything I want to know.
I don't think there's any action necessarily. It's just a brief.
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. All right, we want to proceed to the blight ordinance. Councilwoman Amelia Inman, you ready?
Coming off mute. Yes, thank you. So I'm not there, but the attorneys are there.
Yes.
Yes.
Are the attorneys there?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. I know we've kind of been looking at this blight ordinance for a while, and I just wanted to know, well, the biggest issue, I'm going to start here, is that we've already voted on the current blight ordinance that we had back in 2021. And we also voted, which I don't have a timestamp for, but we voted to also follow the Cap County's ordinance. So it's kind of like conflicting. And I just wanted to make sure that we kind of like have everything kind of combined and clear moving forward. So that way, like if someone wants to go forward or if they have any complaints or even for our code enforcement officer, so we could just have clarity on like what we need to do if someone were to not follow, what our current ordinance is saying, when it comes to like vacancies, sanitation, et cetera, et cetera. And then I also wanted to, if someone could speak, if one of the attorneys can speak on this, for clarity again, because there's a few things that I may have forgotten that young Tay told me, but in regards to charging and how we can kind of do with that within reason and still not be kind of like, I guess, illegal or not follow suit of what the state has okayed us to do. Because, there's a lot of vacant buildings, but I want to see if we can, I know you said we can't escalate a fee, but maybe somehow still do it in a way where, we still can make some kind of income off of them not doing right as a business owner, So I just wanted to say that, and I'll just leave it there for now.
Good evening, Councilmember Emmerich and City Council members of the City of Lithonia. So just to address some of what you said, and I can kind of work backwards. I know you talked about a fee with Attorney Tay. And he pointed out that in the Georgia code, there's a restriction on how much that fee can be for buildings that are in a state of blight. And I think with the Georgia code, it maxes the fee out at $100 per registered building. And that's because fees are necessarily tied to the impact that it has on the government. So the time that it takes, the administrative costs that it takes for the city to maintain those buildings that are in a state of blight, that's what the city would be able to charge the building owner for that building. However, I know you talked about getting, or basically seeking some type of revenue. Of course, the ordinance that the city has already passed has provision for the city to obtain ad valorem taxes, which are property taxes. And as we know, those are the largest contributors to the revenue line item on your budget. So if there are buildings in your city that after investigation and once it's been deemed by the municipal court has been considered to be buildings that are operating in blight, you can provide notice to the county tax commissioner, and they could actually raise that building's taxes. And when the building is going to the tax commissioner to pay off the property taxes, again, the property tax rate would be higher for those buildings until they come out of the state of blight. So again, fees, we want to kind of caution away from kind of seeking revenue when we look at fees. But if you look at taxes, that's where revenue is typically raised in the cities.
So that would be something like a blight tax?
Yeah, it's essentially a blight tax, and your ordinance that you have here, it's really comprehensive, it's super detailed, and it makes way for that. Those buildings are charged at a 0.7. Actually, let me not get into millage rate and numbers because I'm not a numbers person, but it's charged at a higher rate than the regular buildings in the city. So they would essentially be, again, charged higher tax rates and be held to a higher tax responsibility than other commercial buildings or residential buildings that aren't in a state of blight.
They do apply to residential also.
And I want to say there might be an exception with buildings where there are that are considered residences. I think it's actually more so commercial buildings.
That's a good idea.
So we're gonna have to.
So this is, this would be my question, because I think with the residential, it's more so registering your property to make sure that if it is vacant, you have someone to contact, whether it's a property manager, the owner themselves, if they're absentee owners, and things like that. So that's understandable. But as it stands right now, my thing is we have no structure, even though we voted for this. It's comprehensive, I guess, to the attorney world, but in the average person's eyes, I'm just trying to simplify it. You get what I'm saying? And just make sure that we take it from what we have right now, which is still confusing to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
To me, it is. I don't know about anyone else, but taking it from what we have right now and then figuring out a way to apply it to our city, because as it stands, we don't have any registration right now for vacant owners. We have no record, from my understanding. This is the last time I checked, which was, a few months ago. We also don't have any kind of a process. So if we are to actually call it a blight tax, shall you say, who's going to record keep that? Because it sounds like that's something that the city has to deliver to the county. And then just a few other things that I'm just trying to understand, like, if we are agreeing to go forward with just the blight ordinance, then why in the world did we also agree to the DeKalb County ordinance? I know kind of a lot of the things are similar, but I just need clarity on what we're going to go with, and see how we're going to move forward. So that's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 points to that. I would, off the top of my head, say that the city ordinance controls, especially if we're talking about areas that are within the city limits of this municipality. And you brought up a good point. A part of the blight ordinance is the need for someone to carry it out. So it does require personnel to, whether it's to address the properties that are, the chapter 1 is called derelict properties or derelict property. So you need code enforcement officers or policemen, whoever kind of serve in that capacity that are going to enforce the codes. You need, of course, there's a portion for the city clerk to keep up with the registry. And if a registry isn't in place, the city has the authority and power to go and seek anyone who might not be adhering to it, and that their property is foreclosed or has been vacant for 60 days, to put themselves on the registry, so you can kind of keep track of that. So I think the tools are here. You just, like Councilmember Emmons said, you kind of need the personnel or just people to kind of act out on it. And that might look like tackling one building at a time, because maybe you can't go through 100 buildings in the city of Lithonia all in 1 year, or maybe it looks like whatever plan that you all come up with, or whatever plan code enforcement officers might come up with, or based on complaints from citizens or whoever might want to address certain buildings in the community that are in a state of blight or derelict.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that. So even if we did vote in favor of both the blight and DeKalb County, because we are a city, our blight ordinance trumps, it sounds like, anything else. So that's good, because I was really confused with that a little bit. Okay, and so at this point, all we have to do is just work out our structures and duties as far as getting the registries in place. So I just didn't know what that part looked like, especially since I know we never, from my understanding, did it before. Because I know we also, what do you call it? We have an agreement with DeKalb County, so I didn't know what goes to what. But since we're taking over it, I guess that's all that matters in a way. And then I would go as far, just so I can understand this part too, like, how does it work? Because I think we've also voted to be with the land trust for DeKalb County. And I don't know all the details about that, but if we're planning to raise someone's taxes, right? I just want to get, because it's kind of like we'll never see it. I hate to put it like that, but if someone's not paying their taxes, I don't think we'll ever see it. Even if we are raising it higher, basically that's just going to be passed to somebody else on the first Tuesday of every month, right? For someone to pick up that bill, and they have a whole year. So that's even longer that we have to wait if the person decides, the original owner, to pay that amount or not. And then on top of that, it's like, will we ever really truly see that money that is still owed to the city, or will it go straight to the county? Because I've never heard of us talk about that in the budget or anything. So it's just little things like that I think about, that I'm just like, are we really capitalizing on everything that we have, and if it's in our power, how do we go about it? I know that's a lot of questions in one, but it's just kind of like everything that's kind of in my head right now. I just wanted to get out.
Yeah, and so just to gain an understanding of the taxes, the county tax commissioner sends the municipality your portion of your property taxes. So you're going to see it just in probably on that revenue line. It's not going to, that's what represents property taxes in the city. But like you said, you asked a lot of questions, but maybe if I kind of break down how I see the city of Lithonia's blight ordinance, how it's kind of organized, I think that will bring clarity to it, because it's organized in almost 3 parts. The first part addresses derelict properties. So again, properties that I guess carry kind of that state of blight, and they can be, you have to go through a process, obviously, which involves code enforcement, and which involves the city municipal court to be declared a public nuisance. And then that building has to either, per the court, work with the city to be repaired and or to be demolished. And the city can go about, if the individual has not, or the entity has not done what it's supposed to do to repair and or demolish the building, the city can cause that building to be repaired or demolished, but that the cost that the city has to go through to repair and demolish that city will be a lien against their property taxes. So they won't just get away with not answering to the repair that the city might have to take to the building or demolishment, but it will be attached to their property taxes. The second portion of the article refers to the blight ordinance, and it does what we just talked about as far as charging those property owners a certain tax based on their building being in a blighted condition, if you will. And then the third part of it is, again, the registry that the city has, where you kind of keep a roll, if you will, of all the buildings that are either foreclosed or vacant. So there, again, there's three parts that can work together, if you will, because, you know, of course, a building could be in a state of blight and its taxes could be increased, and then the city could also possibly ask that building owner to, you know, repair. So it's, I think if you split it up in three separate parts and you kind of approach it like that, and again, determine, you know, what buildings that you're, that you want to address, depending on who has requested you to address it via the blight ordinance. And I think that's probably the best course of action. But of course, it's in the hands of the city and it's up to the determination of the council.
I got a question. So all the three parts that you just talked about, is that in the bill that we have now?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It's in the bill, and I addressed it in the order that you have it in the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it addresses you just identifying a property and saying you are a public nuisance because you are either inhabitable, you are either, you know, a haven for crime, or you are, you know, your building is, you know, of ill repair or something like that. And then again, the second tier is charging those property owners via the ad valorem tax registry. And then the third is keeping a record of that with the city clerk.
Well, that sounds like something that's completed. I mean, we could vote on. I think we could put that on the.
It's an ordinance.
Yeah, ordinance.
Yes, it's already an ordinance.
Move
That's
that
probably
forward.
the key part, that you just clarify,
I have a question.
On the taxes.
charging. How do we start?
So
Oh,
is there
taxes.
a final, so what if, the tax or the repairs or to demolish exceeds the value of the property? Is there any lingo where the property will then be converted to the person that's holding the debt for that property?
Are you saying if it's more than, the cost to repair it is more than the actual cost of the property?
Yeah.
So there is verbiage that kind of addresses that, and I think if it's gonna cost you more to repair it than it is than the value of the property itself, and I think it's minus the land as well, but just the actual
Now,
structure.
that would be for the owner, but I'm saying a part for the city.
Yeah,
If the property was a nuisance, drug haven or whatever, infested with
rodents.
rodents,
Yeah.
then the city has to push this house down. But to demolish this house exceeds the value.
Yes.
Then the city is holding a debt. So, and if they're not paying, you know what I mean? So if it costs me 15,000 to push it and the value is only at 10, then I'm in, you know, so is there any length of time where the city would actually, the ownership would actually exchange from, you know, if they don't pay on that debt?
Oh, if the city can own the building.
Yeah. if they
In
don't-
order to
yeah,
repair.
own it and resell it for, at least for what they put in it to have it demolished.
I don't think there's, and I feel like I just read something about gifting certain properties to the city if it was in the best interest of the owner. But the way the city could basically, because I think the purpose of the ordinance isn't necessarily to take away the property, but basically get it back on track.
Right, but we don't want to have on our books a big old debt. Okay, so it costs 15,000. Now we just holding this 15,000 debt because we had to pay the people to demolish it, and the people who own the property is not paying. So it would, be to our benefit to be able to sell that property, get our 15 back and, at least.
Well,
No, I'm just saying that that's
yeah.
any, that is a route, one of the branches to this, a difference.
Mr. Brooks, he's trying to address that, I think.
I think in that situation,
No, you're
okay. With what you're talking about, after all the votes, we have to vote for that. There's a lien to all that house. That after so much time, that is what you're saying. To the city.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Before getting the lien around a certain amount of time, I don't know that back downtown.
So I guess that would have to be put into some type of order that, if the city incurs this expense, then, city will hold this expense for so long, before we're able to, I guess,
The example,
take ownership and
say a
sell it.
house on Church Street. That person that's going to work, and that person doesn't pay fine, or doesn't pay. The city is a cost, like, clean that property up.
Right.
He doesn't pay that, back and forth. Then the judge goes for a lien for that house. For that, after a certain amount of time, the city should be able to legally take over the house.
So that's what we need to have. I mean, it needs to be on the books in order for us to, implement that.
So the process is there.
So it's already, law that we're able to do that.
I can change what I was explaining, I asked the same question.
Yeah, so we need to know if we can do that, or do we need to make provisions so that we are able to do it?
We need to make provisions that you make sure.
So make provisions to check.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Can that be done?
that's something I would need to research, but as
Officer Brooks.
Officer Brooks stated, the process as it stands right now, a lien is placed on the property and it is billed just like the regular property taxes. So you're right, if a person is, also evading their property taxes and they're not even paying that, then of course that's something that they would also not be paying, obviously. So, I don't know. And that's something I would need to research the process after a while. What happens to that property? Of course, there are, organizations and entities like the Land Bank and things like that. But I think those.
We have a land bank.
Yeah, but there's land bank and other stuff right now, but we're trying to work this stuff out in the city. And I'm just thinking that we need to bring to some finalization of all of this work that we're doing. What's going to be the final verdict? Because just putting a lien on it and letting it sit out there with a lien is not helping anybody. We're trying to clean the city up, and make it where it's less blight. Then we need to have something final. Okay, so you do this, this, and this, and at the end of this, it's done. We cleaned it up. We've been repaid for what we've done, and we can move to the next property.
And then also, I think the caveat to the lien is going to be for the cost of the repair. So it's going to be, at that point, the building itself will not be in the state of blight anymore because you've either repaired it.
But we're in debt.
Yeah, now you just hold on to that debt, right?
Yeah, for how long? We don't want to hold on, you know what I mean? So
sell
we
it.
want to be able to sell it, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, is that, do we have that law on the books that, after so long, with the city holding this lien, what can we move forward with?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it, I'm done.
That's what I was thinking. If we just, so that we got these three things in place with that one that we've been working on for years. So if we just vote and put that in place and then start working on the other portion, at least that'll be in place to start taking care of some of these things.
And you
Before
don't
we get
actually
to-
have to vote. It's already a city ordinance. So it's
Oh, okay.
already city law.
All right. That's
I'm
cool.
reading you right from your law.
What we
So
done? I
It's
like
already,
that.
you already have the power to do everything I was just saying. And
Awesome.
Other than, the
yeah,
lien.
that's something that probably you have to discuss with the tax commissioner because I don't know the process of.
You're right.
Yeah. I don't know the process
That
of
I was
acquiring
not
the
exact
property after that.
because there's actually several properties that we're probably all familiar with that are just sitting there. I think the one on Cagle and Johnson at the very corner, I think that's the street, but it has graffiti on it. It's a small little white building on the corner. All it is just taxes that are unpaid. And so in that situation, like I said, I don't know how the land bank works that we already voted on and approved, but if we decide as a city to take on that property, I'm assuming we don't have to pay the tax on that because we're paying ourselves basically. And let's just say we take over the property, and at that point we could demolish it or make that an investment as a city, or maybe DDA can be the arm for that, since I know we can't do certain things as a city, and then we can make a profit. That's kind of like the path of thinking I'm going down. But like I said, I just wasn't sure what that process looked like, legally speaking, in regards to the blight ordinance. And now that we know that that trumps the cap, I just wanted to see if we can kind of like, and I mentioned this to Young Tay a while back, but even with the code enforcement officer, Mr. Brooks, if we can find a way to like simplify this on a sheet of paper that says, this is what we need to do, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And specifically, let's just break it down if we're going to go that direction. You have the derelict, chapter 1. You have chapter 2, which is can't remember, blight. Chapter 3 is vacancies, I believe. So if we are able to get a sheet for each chapter, right, and make sure that we send this out or put it on our website. So when we really start to actively start, and I know you've already started with some, commercial business on Main Street, but just to kind of protect us and keep record. Legally speaking, I wanted to make sure that we do go about things the right way. And I don't know how much it would be, or maybe if you all as our attorneys can do that for us, that would be beautiful. Kind of like common knowledge type sheet. Like if you're not following this rule, because I saw something, for example, just to kind of give you guys an example, on page 8 of the blight ordinance, letter or line 255, it says, if the owner fails to comply with an order to repair or demolish a dwelling, building, or structure, the public officer shall cause such dwelling, building, or structure to be repaired, altered, or improved, or to be vacated and closed, or demolished within 270 days of expiration of time specified in the order for abatement by the owner. That's a mouthful. So like something like that, just in that regard, where we can simplify it for people and it's no guesswork. Because who's going to sit down, like I said before, and go through this? Because I feel like if we're not honestly grasping everything in this, how are we going to apply it to our city? I'm just trying to make it where it's simplified, easy to apply for our city, and make make it an action item when we start really working on this. Because I'm telling you, once we get control of our properties, everything is going to change. We're going to get more money since we rely on our property taxes. We're going to get more beautification. It's going to solve a lot of our issues. And so that's why I kept bringing up this blight situation. We haven't voted on it, but as you can see, not even every council member understands it either. So clearly there's a void here. And I'm just trying to make sure we close that gap and get some resolution of how to move forward from this legal jargon to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to put it in the best ways possible, if that makes sense. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So essentially what I hear too, you correct me if I'm wrong, for each one of the chapters on our website, it sounds like we might have something like an FAQ for each one of the chapters. Like if I was going on the website to see something about my vacant property, I could go up under that vacant property and see all the FAQs that would possibly, cause a lien or what have you. Is that what you're saying? Because that sounds like a good idea.
I mean, so if that's helpful, great, right? But the idea that I was saying is have a summary sheet, if that makes sense. Put it in simple language. If your house has been vacant for 60 days, you will be charged whatever, $100, right? Since that's what we have to go on. That's the ceiling. If your property has been, I don't know what to say, like abandoned or whatever, trees overgrown, you will be charged XYZ until this is fixed. I'm saying take the language that we have, put in a number, have strict days set already in that summary sheet, right? So there'll be no question about, oh, well, he just slapped a warning on my door and I didn't even know about any of this. Well, along with this warning, you get a summary sheet that says, this is, what this is part of blight. This is what this is what we're going to charge you. If you don't have it done within these days, this is going to be the next charge. You kind of get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That way you're breaking it down and making it simple. So that's all I'm saying. Like, let's just try to break it down, make it simple. I know sometimes, our attorneys, they don't want to change the language, but I feel like it's necessary when it comes to us applying it. We're keeping the wording the same for our ordinance purposes, right? But for dealing with our residents, with us, just to understand this better, have a one-pager for each chapter. So that way we can take this and start making moves with it, because we've been sitting on this for a long time, since 2021, and nothing has been done. It's no one's fault, but we have to work together to put this into existence.
And our attorney, she's still standing here waiting.
I had a question. So with that, and also Brooks, so do you understand the process that the attorney just said our ordinance create? If you look at it, will you be able to go out and tell us what house we need to put the?
I have this book out.
Okay, all right.
I have this book out already.
Mhm.
This process actually.
So
I
was
hear you,
thinking,
just FYI. Sorry.
I was thinking that, and Councilwoman, with everything's in place now, and we let Officer Brooks look into it, get that straight, so we could move on this thing like tomorrow. My concern would be if we did another rewrite of the ordinance in simple form, legally, we're saying something different. So I mean, with keeping it in the legal section, even though that we may not understand, if they get attorney, the attorney will understand and figure that out. But if we write up another brief, so to speak, it may cause issues. I'm just thinking if that may be something, we'll just be spinning in circles and just get it done.
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm sorry. I'm just doing this as an example. How many days can you actually start to take notice of someone's property if it's been sitting vacant too long? How many days is that?
Also,
how many days does a property sit vacant until we can go and do something about it legally?
Well,
I'm throwing that question out.
If the property is a blighted property with grass and weeds are growing up over the house, then I can act on that property at that point. Typically, if it's just grass or something like that, I have to give at least 7 days to do that. But a property, I can give you an example. If it's across the street from Mr. Unread, that house across the street from him, I don't have to have a certain amount of time because that house is in blight.
No. And this is Officer Brooks. I get what you're saying. I was trying to put the question towards counsel because I know that this is what you do, right? But I'm just asking general questions to make a point. We should be able to easily say to someone, this is the number of days that you have for your property to sit vacant and you not be charged by the city. Your house will be charged this amount if it has overgrown over the last 7 days. Like, this is information that is readily available on our website. That's what I mean by a summary. So that's not taking away anything from the blight ordinance. I'm just making a point that it should be simplified specifically for our residents so they're not confused as to when Mr. Brooks comes up and say, okay, you're getting warned for this reason. We have it on paper in summary. This is what you be charged. If we have a sheet, like a price sheet, which I think we talked about that a while back, but it never happened. But if Mr. Munson's still there, if we can get a price sheet, right? this is what it's going to cost for us to come clean up your yard. And this is the cost that's going to go to the owner. We'll carry it for now, but you're going to be charged this, and we're going to have to get our money back within X amount of days. From my understanding, we control that portion. The blight ordinance does not specify that information. So there's some things that we have to do within our power, make it applicable is all I'm saying, and make sure that we have it in writing somewhere so no one could ever say that, oh, we're just doing whatever we want.
And if I may,
so all I'm saying,
I was gonna say, if I may, our recommendation would be to just what you said. Of course, keep your ordinance, because in comparison to other cities and other blight ordinances, it's really it's comparable, number one, and I think it does a good job of kind of addressing any turns and twists that you might have. In the process of addressing the building that has blight. But I think having some type of like FAQ, like Councilmember Shepherd said, or a summary, or a chart, or whatever have you, I think would be perfect for citizens and council members to kind of walk through the blight process. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. But our recommendation would be to, because this ordinance is so comprehensive and so good, to keep it as is, but of course it's council's decision.
And I just want to say this, right? You guys are saying it's comprehensive. I don't agree with that, because if it was comprehensive, I'm just making a point, everybody would know what it's talking about. Everybody would know specifically what this chapter means, what the second chapter, what the third chapter means, the number of days for each that are considered limits. And we will also have, again, a plan already in place. We don't have any of that. And so when we don't have any of things in place, I don't consider it comprehensive, because it's not considered common knowledge. I'm just speaking from my opinion. And I'm taking a reflection of what I'm hearing from council. It sounds like it's not comprehensive. But all I'm saying is, if we can do that, which I'm glad that you guys agree with, if we can make an FAQ, a summary, or whatever y'all want to do, let's just do it and make a registry, because none of that has been done. But it's so comprehensive, but nothing has been done, right? And then start making some money, because our whole issue is, where's the money? This is part of getting money, and I can say that legally speaking, because it's not like we're talking about police department and all that stuff. But yeah. So I just wanted to make that comment. And then my last question for the attorney there, and we know the limit for, you said $100. That was for the part about vacancies, right?
Yeah.
I would like to know, is there a limit as a city of what we can charge for example, Mr. Munson and his crew cleaning up a property? Is there a limit on that? And if there isn't, then I would love to see how we can go ahead and move forward and put a number out there for the next meeting and get that on board and approved. Because there's a lot of properties that we all seen that can use that right now. And we can start getting some money from these people.
So our advice on fees for services that the city offers to citizens would be that as the fees just need to correlate with the impact on the city. So if you could kind of think about it in a way where it's less about revenue or bringing in money, but more about how much it costs the city to send staff over to certain properties to cut grass or maintain it. How long, if, let's just say, for instance, if there was someone out there for 2 hours and the city pays them $25 an hour, then the cost should be $50, So you just have to correlate with how much the city is actually expending on providing service to its citizens.
Okay, so we can base it off of the per hour job that it takes for them to maintain the property. Okay, that's a good idea. I'm sorry.
When you do that as well, there has to be a paper trail with that.
Yeah.
Starting with me giving them a warning and going through forth like that, giving them the opportunity. You have to give them the opportunity to be able to clean their own yards and get that situation straight. And once going forth, and I give them a warning, they don't do it again, I give them a citation.
and go from that point. They go to court, and once the court gets involved, we do what we need to do from that point. Then we go into the point of the city workers doing part of the thing.
And just to add to that, as far as paper trail is concerned, I would recommend that if you establish any fees within the city, that you have some type of fee study or, some type of cost structure that says this is how we got to this. So, it can't be challenged, and you can say, you can stand on it and say this is what it takes to maintain this property or this park.
Okay, that's a good idea. And Officer Brooks, you mentioned, and I'm assuming these are people that live in their homes that you're giving time to, right? You say usually 7 days. That's the warning.
7 days comes to where, like, say if you don't cut your grass and I come by and see your grass is overgrown, so if I give you a warning, I have to give you at least 7 days to be able to get that correct. To the point of somewhere where trees, vines, and everything are overgrowing your house and taking over, where it could be criminal activity, stuff like that. And I can give knowledge to that, then I can go forward and go ahead and start the citation at that point. I typically try to give each person a warning, even though certain houses I know may go forward. I still give them that warning, and I give them a week. Give me some type of notice back. If I don't get them personally, I'll send a certified letter. I get that certified letter back. Once I get that back, I go to a citation. As I'll go through that, then it's like the process we're talking about now that we go into as far as city workers start trying to clean up and do that, and we go through up with the fees for that.
Okay. And I know you probably had a lot of people that have not responded to you because they're absentee. So it was more so along that line of thinking as far as fees are concerned, because some people just don't respond.
And the one that you're talking about,
I don't know if you've gone through that.
I was wondering if she do this, DeKalb County.
We have 5 buildings that's like the county building. I just have to have the person to be able to get them to the letters and everything together to go forth with it. What they'll do is come by and they'll demolish it.
Because it's been a long time without anything being done. So.
Okay, I've heard a little bit. You said it's county owned and what? I'm sorry.
There's a process to go sending letters and talking to the person that's over that. Send him a letter. He contacted me back in emails, and then to put those on a list so he can come out and look at it there. Like that particular building that you're talking about, for them to tear that building down. There's also one in Grassville the same way. There's about 5 of them total that the county owns.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop talking about it. But it just seems like you see some of this. I understand county owns this, county owns whatever, city owns that, or can control certain things. But I just feel like if we're gonna have control over this as a city, we should have full control, because now we're having to go through the county's process, and that's gonna prolong the situation. These particular homes that we just talked about have been this way for years, as long as I've been living here as a little girl. So I'm just saying, I would love to see immediate change. And I would hate to have to depend on people outside of the city that don't work for the city, because it just drags things out even further. So that's my comment. I'm gonna stop talking about it. But I just feel like if we can do what we can't do for right now, and if we can go by that, what Miss Ashley was saying about the, charging the reasonable wage, right? Now, and you're saying that we can do that only after they've been to court, after receiving their citation. But for properties that are also, they just don't respond whatsoever, that we should not have to wait to go through the court process for them to do this. And I'm hoping that's legal, that we should be able to have our public works go out there, cut the grass, and simply get a reimbursement, even if they go to court or not. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that's illegal, but our attorney's there, so I guess you can answer that for us. I don't know, but that will help keep our area looking better, and you'll see that there'll be less of a chance of people trying to move in, because there's been some more homeless people coming in, and crime also happening as well. We can reduce that by making sure that these properties are boarded up, they're managed well. So I'm not there. It sounded like somebody was saying something, so I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, I was trying, oh, I'm sorry. You want to- No, I was trying to say, I don't, what Officer Brooks is saying is that building on the corner that you and I be looking at all the time with the graffiti on it, on Cagle and what, Johnson? Yeah, that's owned by DeKalb County. That's why we have to go through the procedure with that particular one. But the other ones, no, just the ones that the county own. Is that what you understood?
Yeah, so what I was asking was, even though the county owns it, but it's still within our city limits, right? I wanted to know, can we take authority over this process to make sure it actually gets done? Because the county, if that has been owned by the county, it's been owned by the county
Forever.
since
Yeah.
it's went.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I was thinking that we still have to, go through the process, because even though it may have taken us 30 years to get this in order, we still have to give them the benefit of the doubt and let them go through that our process that we can't, because you've had this property forever and it's been looking like this forever. Okay, so now you don't get 15 days. We want this done tomorrow. I don't know. We still have to allow them, I would think, that time in order.
Going through a legal, and then some of that is also when those letters come back, it's not because they haven't seen the letters. Some of them just don't get the letters. So now I have to do more research and finding who the proper owner is. And I also have somebody look at me with that as well. Because some of the people just don't, you just can't find them. Their address is a P.O. box.
Right. It takes time, just like the trucks. You know how long I had to talk about those trucks, and I'm still talking about those trucks. But it takes time. But eventually, we'll see some progress. I'm hoping.
All right, I'll leave the convo there. I'm done talking about it.
Thanks for your hard work, and then thank you. It sure would be an improvement once we get this rolling. Okay, sure.
Council, any other further discussion? All right, not mayor's report, I'm sorry, got police report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Police report.
Was this 2 pages? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was this it?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. For police report, I got a few different things. Just tell you about 2 incidents we had over the past 2 weeks. One, we had a burglary to a residence. It was we got the call while it was happening. Officer Warren, myself, and Major Patterson and Officer Abdul responded quick enough to where we actually caught both individuals with the items in their hand walking down the road. So we were able to solve that and close that case out. Just shortly, a day or two after that, we also had information, I believe it was Officer Warren, that was able to locate someone who was staying in the city as a resident, correct? And they had federal warrants out of Kentucky for scamming people all across the country in a huge construction equipment. So, Command Officer Warren on that one, Sergeant Warren on that one, because that was big. That led into a bunch of other stuff, and of course, we turned the investigation over to Kentucky State Police. So, now, with that being said, into the good news. There was a grant that we talked about back in October, actually might have been September, that everybody in the state who had a police department or public safety unit, whether it be school police, city police, county, anything, could apply for through the governor's office. I think if I can get Mr. Romine here with me. So it's Chris Romine. I know I talk a lot about it.
I know, I'm good.
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
That's who that is.
So we had 500 people apply?
Yes.
500 people applied. Around 90 were selected. So, I mean, it was a pretty long process. I think we went 3 months around. It was a total of $1.3 million was the total. 265,000 directed towards the police department for equipment, updated stuff to catch up. It's under a program that we titled Protect Our Streets. So, and then the other 1,053,000 is directed towards the STEM program, which I know Ms. McKibben gave a presentation on and talked about several times. We still have about, I think, 2 weeks before we bring the official final document before council. He met with the state last Thursday, Thursday at 2:00. And basically, being that it took so long, the state actually increased everybody 10% on what they originally applied for due to inflation. So, you know, it's there. You know, we're one of the very few that received it. I've gotten phone calls from people all over the state just kind of, you know, asking questions, and I don't tell them our secret. I can't tell you how many times I've got a call saying, hey, is he available to write a grant for us? No, not today. So, you know, it's definitely a blessing. It's definitely going to help us move forward and get up to date on several things and just help the police department out in a lot of ways, but also help the city with the youth resource center mentorship. So July 3rd, we plan on bringing the final paperwork before council to let you guys review it and see everything. I think you'll be very impressed with the way that they're going to allow us to spend the money.
Is it July
3rd.
So, question. So you received a letter stating that the city of Lithonia was awarded this grant and thus such?
So we received it through just grants or Survey Monkey? Survey Monkey.
Survey Monkey.
That's who the state uses to do all their correspondence.
So they sent a letter through Survey Monkey that the grant was awarded to the city of Lithonia.
Yes, and they did a press release on the state of Georgia's website. Yeah, and they listed every department. And I'll be honest with you, it was kind of impressive to see Lithonia got 2 grants. Some departments only got 1.
So this was a write-up. I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't know where to look to find it. So, I mean.
So we, honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I got a phone call from. So we didn't even get told that they were approving it that week. So it's been, originally we were told February something, right?
We applied in October and we thought the award would be somewhere in January, February. And then time rocked on, everybody was trying to find out, you know, what has happened with this grant. And I didn't know either.
Yeah, none of us knew. I think I got the phone call from Ms. Shepherd, you know, basically saying, congratulations. I'm like, huh? And so I had to go research it myself because it's not like something that they just sent directly to us beforehand. You know, there is a lot of backstory to, I think, why they went ahead and approved everything so fast. That's above us. That's in that building downtown. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm trying to remember, I actually took a picture of it, but if I'm not mistaken, when they announced it, the night that I saw it on late night news,
June 8th.
They announced it, then I saw the link to the AJC. And if I'm not mistaken, you can go onto State of Georgia's website and there's like a governor's corner or something where you can click on the link and it'll show you exactly what I took a picture of, all the cities that were awarded.
Can you send that?
I sent it. And so I was wondering, the reason why I said that, and to your point, I was wondering if I knew it by just watching the news from them announcing it and providing that link. And I'm saying to myself, it's cities that don't even know they got it. How are they communicating that information down the pipeline? But that's when I called and I was told about Survey Monkey too.
Yes.
And I'm familiar with Survey Monkey, but I didn't realize that they also use Survey Monkey as like an intranet type inner email function.
Correct.
So now I know that too. And the lady, if this helps, but the young lady that I spoke to that told me about that is because it saves a couple reasons. Saves them on mailing, and then that information gets lost, and they have an electronic trail of where they sent it to. That's why they do it in Survey Monkey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can't wait for this.
That's it for the report.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chris.
All right, guys. I don't have anything for mayor's report, so we're gonna move forward to council member district updates. If anyone has anything before we adjourn.
I don't have anything.
No, I don't have anything here.
I don't have anything there.
Okay.
Mayor, this is Miss Winnie. She does have something.
All right.
I was sharing with her, like over on Pine Mountain, that area that everybody is so frustrated with. It looked like a park. It is beautiful. And some of the people in the community came together and helped clean it.
Right.
It looks great.
Good. Thank you for being instrumental in that.
But thank you too. And Miss Shepherd and I said too, it does make a difference when we show up. And maybe that's something we could you had said once, maybe we could go over there and just sit down, just let people know that we are interested and we want to keep it looking that way because it really looks great.
And thank you, Councilwoman Emmett, for initiating that project and putting it together.
Right. Thank
For
you
us
so
to go out there and do that.
Thank you guys for being involved too, because it takes a village. And then I can't forget about our residents. I don't know if the Bowmans are sitting out there in the audience, but thank you, my mom, my sister. Who else was out there?
No, they missed us today.
Oh, they not there today?
No.
Oh, okay, but thank y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, and with that grant, since we have more money, please don't forget about the trash cans. We really need them while we're on that topic.
We need trash cans around the city, so that's a whole another conversation.
They can come on the spot, can't
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn at this time, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much. You all have a good evening.
Have a good night, Mayor.
You all later this week.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Councilwoman Emmett. Yes, sir. Okay. It's the row one. Thank you. What day y'all coming?
I'm coming on Thursday.
You coming Thursday? I'm leaving tomorrow evening. I'm so sick of work. I'm just ready to go late. You gonna bring it Thursday?
Just come hang out.
Come on, go